Hello. I'm going to be doing a Blue Girls podcast video. This is going to be October of 2013, and it is 2022 when I'm recording this. And so the first dream is titled End of the Month. There were several terminals that some people were standing. As I was at one of them, I accidentally dropped a card and went looking for it on the floor. Excuse me. Then another guy used the terminal. My friend received a large sum of money and 3 people were involved in his situation. There was a picture of rows of trees. On the 31st, this woman did something really fast, cast a spell against someone. She wanted to rewind a movie. She was against a woman because she didn't know her age. There was a boy there that disappeared. Some cats and a mention of Indiana. I was looking at a map. Missoula, Montana, caught my eye. My friend called and was talking to someone while he was drinking and had a friend in the background mumbling. I was supposed to press number 8 on the phone. Then there was someone in an airplane and saw a set of islands, possibly Hawaii, Florida, Keys, or Caribbean. Okay. So, I don't remember being at these terminals. I don't remember dropping a card. Sometimes with these dreams, sometimes I remember some of it. Sometimes I don't remember much. But so I do remember that this part. Okay, my friend, he was moving. And 3 people were helping him out. 3 people were involved in helping him move. So on the 31st, this is actually October 31st in the dream, some woman cast a spell on me. I don't know who she was, but she did something. And something about she didn't know her age. She didn't know my age or something. So yeah, I was looking at a map and Missoula, Montana, stood out, kind of caught my eye, and yeah, so I don't remember this in the dream. Yeah, so my friend was calling the one who had 3 people helping him out, and he was drinking, and he was mumbling or whatever. So then whatever, something about I was supposed to call number 8. Okay, well, number 8 is money. That's the first thing that I think of. Of course, 8th month, the 8th, whatever. It's always something with 8, right? And so I was in an airplane and I saw these set of islands and I thought it was either Hawaii or Florida Keys or Caribbean. And from what I remember, I thought it was the Florida Keys. So I have never flown over Florida. And I've never been to Hawaii, and I've never been to the Caribbean. All these places I have always wanted to go. I've been to Florida, but not the Florida Keys. And so anyway, that was a dream, and I remember that pretty distinctly. It was more I thought it was like Florida in the dream. The interview. There was about 6 young adults, 3 men and 3 women, who were all sitting in a group. The men were going to be interviewed by the women and were professionally dressed, but one guy was wearing a skirt. A woman decided that the interview would be conducted by each woman, taking turns interviewing the men. Then my big sis was standing in her kitchen with her back towards me. I was always proud of her because she had the second highest paying job position. I questioned her current occupation and was surprised that she was a cook. Also, there was a really aggressive woman who was present in a room. Okay, so in the dream or whatever, so they were interviewing 6 young adults, 3 women and 3 men, and they wanted to be fair about it, and so they did it a specific way. And for whatever reason, some guy showed up in a Scottish skirt, and that was his interview clothes. So then I remember, I don't know why, I had a dream about my big sister in this dream, but in real life, she did have the second highest paying job at where she worked. But now she was a cook. And I thought that, I mean, I know her sister was worked at a restaurant, and so maybe the job was like, maybe it was for, a job for me to be a cook. I don't know. Um, but I was always proud of her because she was a very hard worker. I always kind of looked up to her. Um, and so I don't know, there was a really aggressive woman who was present in a room, and whenever that happens, I always think that the woman is from New York. Um, because I've had a dream of her before at different parts, and she's kind of overly aggressive in the dream anyway. Um, the possum. A couple of friends and I were staying at a hostel. One friend was quiet, mean, and jealous of the other friend. There were a group of people huddling together like a possum. The hostel was a co-ed, and I chose a bottom bunk so I could watch a Godzilla movie. A guy removed the top bunk and disappeared. My brother was sitting in the living room. I was being difficult, so I closed my door to the room. Okay, so yeah, so I was in a hostel. It was a small room. The hostel had hostel beds or whatever. Um, I don't remember the friend who was mean and jealous, quiet, mean, and jealous of the other friend. Um, I'm not for sure who that was. So I don't know why it was really bizarre, but in this small little hostel room, people were kind of huddled together like a possum. And I don't know if it was too cold or the electric went out. I mean, I think the dream took place in the Pacific Northwest. So I don't know why we would be doing that. But anyway, so I chose whatever the bottom bunk so I could watch the Godzilla on the TV. It was an old TV, so I don't even know how it even worked. Maybe it just had like a DVD player put, I don't know. But anyway, so the guy, whatever, on the top bunk, I don't know, he just took his stuff, on the top bunk and disappeared. I don't know where he went to. Oh, he went in the living room or whatever. He went to some other place with all of his stuff. Cinnamon. There were several table there were several table, and a woman at a church asked this woman to come and sit by her. The woman said, "At least someone asked me." There was a woman with cinnamon colored hair and something about Snow White. Okay, so I was at like some kind of church or whatever, and I just remember that someone was being fair with me, invited me to go to the church or invited me, and the person I dealt with, Snow White, was fair. So the next dream is not strong enough. We're still in October 2013. I was walking on the border of Mexico. I went alone, but there was talk of going together. I didn't want to get lost. There were three physically fit women rowing a canoe. They didn't think I was strong enough to row. Yeah, so I remember this, that I've had several dreams in which I'm like on the border of a country. And in this dream, it says it's Mexico, but I've had another dream in which I've been on the border and I'm walking. It's desolate. There's nothing there, and it almost looks like Rome. Um, and so, but in this one, it's a border of Mexico, and so whatever. The women didn't think I was strong enough to do the rowing, which I'm physically not. I meant to row a canoe. I mean, this is 2013. I might have been able, but they were like physically fit women, and I wasn't even back in 2013. But anyway, so yeah, not strong enough. That's the name of the dream. The journal. Okay, my brother didn't want to disclose his next destination. He begged and begged someone for a therapist appointment. When I was sitting around with a couple of students, I had my journal opened. I mentioned that I have all these situations with people going on in my environment. No one would talk to me. I only wanted to agree to a 9-month lease, and I was offered a year's lease. The coast, 26, 1,000. Okay, so um, yeah, here it is. My youngest brother. He doesn't want to disclose his next destination, and it says he begged and begged someone for a therapist appointment. That's probably me, and that had to be in the Pacific Northwest, because it's really hard to get uh, medical or mental health out there with certain kind of coverage. So I don't remember sitting around with a couple of students. I don't know why I would have my journal open. I usually have that kind of locked away. Um, so I do remember sitting in front of my journal and looking at it and saying, I have all this situations going on in my environment. And that's happened more than once when I've been, you know, like in a dream, maybe once or twice, but I do remember, in real life, thinking, all this shit's going on in my environment. And no one would talk to me. So whatever, I only wanted to agree to a 9-month lease or whatever, and someone wanted a year. The coast, I think that's the East Coast. I'm not sure. The 26 is a 26 and 1,000. I don't know. Maybe that's how much the deposit and everything was. I'm not sure. Stopping by. I had a dream about an old friend. I was lying on her couch while she went into her room for a conversation on her phone. Then a girl with different colored hair going in different directions stopped by at her place. Get rid of her. Okay. Transfer. Yeah, so I remember there was some girl in real life who had her hair like a different color, parts of it, and it was kind of weird looking at it. It was going in different directions. Yeah. Transfer. My brother wouldn't tell me where he was going. I told him I hope it wasn't Florida. Someone wrote transfer in cursive handwriting and pencil, Mount Shasta. Waiting one. A woman was on the phone. She didn't say anything. She was waiting or on hold. Missed Dreams of 2010. November 11, 2010. Going back to 10 years ago. This person had a conversation with someone in an email, a name starting with the letter K. There was a military personnel hidden in the bushes, so no movement was detected from him. Someone questioned, did you hear what happened to those 3 people? Yeah, so there was things going on in the environment, like in real life, that there was some kind of military thing. And shortly after this, watching the news, there was 3 people died in real life. I didn't know them, but they died. Okay, so this is Missed Dreams of 2011. And so what I mean by that is I skipped them, I didn't post them or whatever. January 10th, 2011, as I was working on a team, I wanted to leave a couple of hours earlier to go with a friend to some mountains. I didn't think anyone would notice, and I had to leave then or I wouldn't be able to go with him. There were 2 pieces of paper that were glued together. So I've had dreams in which, okay, it says here I wanted to leave a couple hours earlier. I didn't think anybody would notice. Okay, so, but I would have to leave at that time exactly. I would have to leave in order. That was the only time I could go in the dream. But I've had other dreams and thinking that I didn't think anyone would notice and something was being stolen. And I don't believe that. There's always somebody who notices something like that. So anyway, this was a different situation in which I didn't, I thought, well, if I left early, nobody would even notice or even care. And I had to go then or I wouldn't be able to go at all. January 14, 2011, 2 people were having a conversation at a house. One person agreed to do something and another disagreed. Could tell because the man was blushing. There was something about a pool table and right nostril bothering the guy. So I think I might have documented this, but it might have been under a different title. Because I do remember this dream. There was 2 people. They were at a desk, at his desk, and one of them was blushing, or they both were blushing. I think the guy was. And so either the woman or the man was interested. One was agreeing to have a relationship and the other one wasn't, I think. Yeah, the man was blushing. So I think the man wanted the relationship and the woman wasn't interested. And so whenever I have like a dream about a right nostril, it's like he knows. I think that might have been the title of the dream, the original dream. February 19, 2011. I didn't know my brother was behind me. There was a slumber party on the floor. I threw a softball to someone. That's it. Okay, so to me in this dream, this is February of 2011. My brother, this is my youngest brother in the dream, he was behind me. I think he was supporting me. Someone was helping me prepare for surgery, the lower part of body, 1 and 2. Okay, so I have had a couple procedures, but in one dream, and well, not in dream, but in one procedure, real life, someone did mention 1 and 2 while I was getting ready for the procedure, many, many, many years later. June 2011. My brother and I were at a bar having some drinks. My brother smuggled in a six-pack, and so I gave him $5. I left my wallet and some things were scattered on the floor. Then we were outside, and there was some woman who dressed 1940s and in blue color. So in real life, me and one of my brothers, we went to a bar in San Francisco in real life. And we were drinking. I don't know what the $5 was about. And I didn't leave my stuff like on the floor or whatever. We were at this bar. We were at a table. And, yeah, so that's the end of this missed dream. Missed dreams of 2012. I found some dreams that I have not yet documented. March 2012. I wasn't for sure which email address to give a former coworker. She may need help with the class in about a month. She quoted some Bible verse with her electronic Bible. Green, black, green. Whatever. March, this woman and I comforted each other. The bed. So this is back to October of 2013 now. There was this house, and my brother was offered a bed, but I was not. My mom agreed that I have never received a blessing. I wanted to make sure I got a bed. I chose not to work with some girl. I thought I should have done things a little differently. Yeah, so whatever. My youngest brother has favor. I don't understand why, these people in my life have favor, and they're not always the nicest or goodest person. But anyway, he was offered a bed and I wasn't. And so my mom agreed that, I've never received a blessing. I don't believe in never, but I have not received many. I wanted to make sure I got a bed. And for whatever reason, I chose not to work with some girl. I remember that in the dream, and I don't know why. Why? I don't remember why. Faves. On Friday, this young man chose a group from the band. And secondly, a homeless couple. There was this humongous orca in front of me, and I got close enough to touch him. I went into this one room there was calculator gadgets. I was looking for a computer to look up schedule. This woman and I were discussing a place that we have always wanted to visit. Mine was Vancouver, Anchorage, Dublin, and Boston. So I think that, like in October, whatever, this dream, that a homeless couple was chosen for an apartment. And I remember that I got out, I think I was working a job on a boat where they give wheel tours. And so there was an orca in front of me. I was part of the crew. I didn't really give I was just part of the crew. I didn't really give any of the, when they go on there and they tell you all the stuff. I don't know why I was looking up schedules. So I don't remember this one, but we were saying whatever, someplace that we've always wanted to visit. And mine was Vancouver. And I have been to Vancouver. This is 2013. I have been to Vancouver. Anchorage, I have not been to Anchorage. Anchorage is quite expensive, and of course I can only go really in the summer. Dublin, I have not been to Dublin, and that is one place that I definitely want to visit. And I have been to Boston about 3 or 4 years ago, so I finally made it to Boston. Ill. I was on the phone telling a woman that I was disabled and feeling ill. She was going to mail me an application. I wanted to go to a different state, not a different country. There were 2 women who I thought didn't like me but did. So I don't remember much about this dream. I remember I didn't want to go to a different country. I wanted to go to a different state in the dream. And I think in real life, And I thought these two women didn't like me. I have that quite a bit in dreams, and not quite a bit, but enough. Like, someone does. I think someone doesn't like me, or they discriminate at me or something. But I guess that they did like me in the dream. Rubies. That's my real name. I told this man in the food department that I previously worked in that area. There were a platter full of jewelry, all rubies. There was some kid who needed to moderate his chocolate milk. There were two women who had an engagement. There was an older man professional at a desk. I wanted to put in my notice. My mom, brother, and I were sitting at a table having a discussion. A woman who looked like an old friend of mine, beginning with the letter J. She had brown eyes and hair, tall and wearing blue jeans. She lost 50 to 60 pounds and looked hot. She said she was in a movie. Okay, so I've had dreams before of my friend helping me, like at a job. And I think the last time it was in kind of a food department too. It's like through a friend of someone of hers. So I don't know why there would be a platter full of jewelry, all rubies. Why there would be a kid who had to moderate his chocolate milk. So my mom is deceased. This is 2013. So it could be a mother figure, or sometimes she could have been there in spirit. I know that sounds weird, but sometimes I've had dreams of my aunt's husband. They're both passed on, but I've had dreams of him having a conversation with his daughter at my aunt's place. And so anyway, so whatever, a friend of mine, Jay, she taught me maybe with a job, get a job. And I'm saying, she lost 50 to 60 pounds, and she actually did do that. And she looked hot. I'm saying, like attractive. But it wasn't her. It looked like her, though. She was in a movie. Calling out. I had a lot of clothes all over my place in my bedroom because I was packing. There was a woman who came out of the door and said, "One flew over the cuckoo's nest." I thought it was mine. Then I was in a small town, and all the stores were closed. I was walking and crying, calling out for my mom. I remember this dream. I was walking out of a hospital, and they thought, I heard the words, "One flew over the cuckoo's nest." They thought I was nuts, which I somewhat am. But I remember that in the dream. All the stores were closed. I was walking and crying. Late. I was going through some mail items on the floor. There were 2 items, some things from my brother. I was running late, and I was supposed to go to some meeting at 6:30 p.m., and I arrived at 6:40, 10 or something. I asked my brother about going to Florida. Not sure.